everybody, and happy Friday to you. We have another special edition of the Breakthrough Show coming to you live today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Super excited to be back with you guys. We've had, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know, a couple months ago now, we were completely booked for literally every show for the remainder of 2023. And so I said, what am I supposed to do with all of these amazing people that I'm coming into contact with? We have to have all these special editions now. So it's been a lot of fun to feature some really incredible people in the entrepreneur space and just in the world, honestly. I want you to get ready to be inspired today. We have an incredible guest coming to you. Her journey from Cambodian refugee to thriving entrepreneur is a true testament to the human spirit. She's on a mission to help you thrive in business with freedom and ease through her Be Seen with Authority program. We're going to dive into her inspiring story today and find out maybe some secrets to her success and marketing success as well. So without further ado, I would love for you to put your virtual hands together and welcome Mieu Phan to the show. Welcome, Mieu. I'm so glad to have you here today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for having me here. And I just love this professional intro you have.
Oh, thank you. So listen, it's a dance party behind the stage, behind the screen coming in. And that's how we get into that good vibe and end up having a great conversation. So I'm glad you were vibing with it as well.
Right.
I love it. So you're coming to us today from across the coast. So I'm in the East Coast and you're in the West Coast. So it's always fun to get to have these conversations and not have to be in the same room, right? We're far away. But you've had quite the journey yourself in coming kind of around the world. What has that been like for you, experiencing just, different cultures and different places? And like, how, do you feel like that has had an impact on who you are and what your business is about?
Oh, absolutely different. I was born in Cambodia, like you had mentioned. And then I moved to Canada when I was 6, and then I went to school, got my university and all that stuff. And then I decided to move to Bermuda because
Why
I
not?
really wanted to explore the world because my inspiration was watching Liz Taylor about Cleopatra. And so
Oh,
I was like, wow, there's a different world out there. And so, yes, there is a lot of different world. What we see in the US is not necessarily what it is like in other places. For instance, if you're in the world of money, there's only 5% payroll tax in
mm.
Bermuda. That's all you get. That's all you're charged. You only taxed on consumption, like how it's an island, so everything's imported. So but whatever you make and you don't spend, it's all yours, basically. It's only 5% payroll tax.
What? I think we're all moving to Bermuda.
And there's more benefits to it. So I'm just saying there's a whole new world. And then I became a stay-at-home mom and I got bored and I decided to tell my husband, okay, let's go to India. Couldn't they use a manager? And guess what? They pay for housing, pay for flights, the company did, and extra perks because we were told we're experiencing hardship. So when it comes to living in different culture, there is a whole new world out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting? So the breakthrough show, I have been in the middle of this series called Breakthroughs Around the World, where my goal was to talk to 40 people from 40 different countries. Because of what you're talking about, we tend to, no matter where we live, kind of reside in our bubble and not really understand what's going on. And then because of media and things like that, we get these preconceived notions about how the people are, how the countries are. And I really feel like we've done such a good job of having people on and going, hey, it's sparking that thought of it's not what I thought. It's, showing that other perspective. And we did have someone on from Bermuda, which was super fun.
Right.
And so we got to know a little bit of that landscape. But it really is like, I think I would imagine, and not all of us get this opportunity to travel, in the physical sense, but I would imagine that it really would shape who you are as a person, getting to experience those different cultures firsthand.
Yes, for sure. I mean, what I learned from traveling to India and negotiating with a big company, they make $3 billion a year in sales, is that I could apply some of those knowledges to my everyday experience. For
Mm,
instance, when we move back to the States because our kids are getting older and they need to be in school, it's important they need to go to school.
yeah.
And then when the company started moving us at different parts of the country in the US, we moved first originally to Massachusetts and then to San Diego. And then we started negotiating with the company. And so we ended up you know, getting almost like a six-figure relocation package just
Mm,
because I learned the art of negotiating when I moved to India and I brought it here to the US. So if anybody knows, if a company moves you from state to state,
mhm,
there is a lot of room for negotiation. You just
right.
have to do your math and then you probably get most of it.
Yeah, that's something I do find, like, talking to people, that not a lot of people really negotiation is not much of a thing here in the US compared to other places, from just the conversation. Even my husband, being from Canada, I feel like he negotiates more than, like, he would ask for certain things. I'll be like, you can't do that. And he'd be like, yes, I can. Watch me do that. So it's cool to see that as well. Tell us how you, with all of this move, I can so relate, by the way, of, being a mom for so many years, and you're like, I have to do something else, like, for me, like, if nothing else, for me, right? But how did you end up circling around to marketing? Like, how did that become a focus for you?
Well, it was well, first of all, my journey was okay, my kids are all going to school full time. I was just not growing.
Hmm.
So if you're not growing, you're stagnant and it's miserable, actually.
Right, right.
And so I decided to go to coaching because my friend said, hey, you can design your life. I'm like, I like the idea. So I'm like, I didn't plan to be a coach at all. I just want to learn how to make things happen for me and then teach my family. And that was
Mm,
it. And then I thought, well, I'll try into coaching. And I leaned back on my previous experience as a corporate trainer computer consultant during the dot-com bust and a realtor during the housing market crash. And I'm not very good at what I do when I started both businesses.
mm,
However, it was the people I surrounded myself with made all the difference. And
mm,
so when I was a corporate trainer, computer consultant for the IT industry that was experiencing a dot-com bust. So, people like this is how drastic it was. I was driving in Plano, Texas, and it was after 9/11, and that exasperated the dot-com bust, the 9/11
right.
did. And I was driving down this parkway. It's like industrial parkway, and it was building, empty parking lot, building, empty parking lot, building. People were getting laid off like left and right after
Right.
the 9/11. And I was actually driving to work. And the difference was who I was hung myself who I was around. And
Right.
that's why I really think the best way for people to grow their businesses is to surround yourself with the best. There's a
Mm,
saying how you are the top 5. You are like the top 5 of your people. So you hang around with the best. And it's actually really, really easy to find the best people in your industry. I
mm,
mean, I was the youngest. I was a corporate trainer. I was in my 20s. I just graduated from school and I was still commanding high prices. And usually consultants are the last person,
mm.
well, the first person to get laid off. I was the last person to leave the office. And then I also went to another job site and gave myself a raise
Yeah.
because I
It's good.
wanted to.
You have the freedom to do that. It's
Yeah.
good. Get yourself a raise real quick. I think there's so much of your journey that people can learn from, because I think when a lot of people are just starting out, they feel like, I don't have the right to, or the experience to. The right to gets in kind of those personal development sort of beliefs, and then the experience to ask for maybe what I believe I'm worth. And so I love that you're sharing some of that about your story as well. When we start talking about authority, how does explain to me how authority, or your personal authority, ties into marketing a little bit?
Okay, so here's an example. It's easier for me to explain it through visualization. So when I was a corporate trainer, um, I did a job, and
Mm,
I was seen by like a heavy hitter in the industry, and they made me a preferred provider. So
mm,
this preferred provider is a spin-off for a Fortune 200 company, I'll say a Texas Instrument. It
mm,
was a spin-off Texas Instrument. They've been in the industry for decades. They know the big players in the industry who needs their product. And what I did, because I was a preferred provider, I took their product, modified towards their client's specification, and so I can push their product out the door, and they got royalties. They made their
mm,
money through royalties. And these were like, the tools were worth 5 to 10 million, sometimes 50 millions each. In a whole
mm.
factory of them, they're worth 100 million. That was like 20 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
So being aligned with, it's like when you're when you're standing beside the industry leaders, you're actually can command close to industry leaders prices. And so I was making like quite a lot of money back then
Right.
for just
Right.
being out of school.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think there's so many different directions that I sort of want to
Mhm.
go with this to dive in a little bit further. We're going to take a super quick break and we're going to come right back and dive further into the world of marketing and authority. So don't go anywhere. We'll be
Thank
right back. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show special edition with the amazing Mieu Phan. We're calling this episode Be Seen with Authority because Mieu is an expert in authority and in marketing. So we're going to be diving further in that today. I really love so much of what you've shared so far, just about your journey, because that's what I found in doing this show. I think that there's so many lessons to be learned just in sharing our story and
Mhm.
where we come from and how we've gotten there. And I can absolutely see how you were talking about before the break, how aligning yourself with that authority can really help you become an authority and push you into the direction that you're meant to be going, to share your passions and your talents and your gifts with the world. For someone who, I think this is the direction I want to go with this. For someone who maybe is, starting out as an entrepreneur, they might be thinking in their head, I don't know any like Texas Instruments that I can match forces with. And some people may not even feel the confidence to reach out to a person or company or whatever that they feel is, at that next level from them that they want to partner with. They don't feel that confidence to feel like who am I to reach out? What are some like ideas or thoughts that you might have around that for maybe beginning entrepreneurs?
Well, just think that everybody starts from the very beginning. And so I had to start from the very beginning again because I was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years and I couldn't go back into software engineering anymore because I've been out of it for so long. It's
Right.
been obsolete. You know, as we know, a tech evolve like every less like supposedly 6 months, but I think it's shorter than that. I
Right.
think it's
Right.
like every month there's always something new in tech. So my skills were obsolete. So I couldn't return to my old career. So when I went into the coaching realm and when I decided to do events, that's when I declared I was going to have a celebrity speaker. And this is how fast it is. It's about declaring what you want. And so I actually went on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and declared on social media who I was going to have and how I was going to do it.
Mm.
I like name the person, and it took me 2 months to land Les Brown as celebrity speaker.
Wait, you said that you were going to have Les Brown as a speaker before before you even talked to him? What? Stop. Okay, I need more details about
I'm
that.
a celebrity speaker. I was going to, and I even went. I had the audacity to say I was gonna. Well, actually, yeah, I didn't say Les Brown. At first, I said it was. I started off with what was her name? Because she's on Oprah all the time. What's her name?
Oh
Brene
my,
Brown. I said
yeah.
Brene Brown. I did on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. I
Yeah.
even went to an in-person networking event and said this as well.
Okay.
Who I was gonna have, how I was gonna have it. I did it twice. And the third time I ran around, I'm like, okay, she didn't deny me twice. So I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Her team. She didn't deny me. It's her team who denied me.
Right.
Um, uh, and then I said, okay. I saw a post about Les Brown. I'm like, oh, let me check out Les Brown. Oh, I really liked Les Brown. And so I went network. And it happened that on the Eventbrite, Les Brown was doing a networking event. It was during COVID, of course.
Mhm.
And I showed up with the camera on, started interacting, and his friend connected with me. And then within 2 months of actually when I declared I want Brene Brown to landing Les Brown was 2 months. I actually landed Les Brown. And then a month later it was Forbes Riley. And then a month later it was Sharon Lechter. So 4 months to land for 3 celebrity speakers from the time I declared a celebrity speaker to when I actually had it.
See, and that's wild because let me even share with you a moment here so I've done this particular platform, this show since 2018. And
Hmm.
I remember even 2 years in, there were people that were like, I would say, this is the person I'm going to have on the show. And they would be like, they don't know who you are. Like, they don't know you. And there were so many people and you know who you are. There were so many people that were so quick to shut me down because I was a nobody. Like
Hmm.
nobody knew who I was at that time. And so there were moments where I believed that. And I thought, I can't even ask because if my friends, right? If my friends think that I, am not in the position to even ask, like how could they'll laugh at me if that's the case. So there were so many times I shut it down. Was there any mindset work or any personal development that you personally have had to do to give yourself the audacity to do that, or have you just sort of always been that way?
Um, I have always been that way. I think that's because I was a refugee from Cambodia. Um,
Mm.
it's do or die. So, and there is a bad side to it too. to like
Okay.
to start something and not and always finish.
Mm.
That's just the way I'm built. I think it's just because the way I was raised, the way how I started my life. It's like you do it and then you have to finish. I start and I don't quit in between.
Right.
The bad side of it is, have you ever watched Netflix
Mhm.
and there's like some series that go on for like 10 seasons or something?
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, for me, once I start something, it's really hard for me to quit. So I end up like I watched the first 2 seasons and I loved it, and then the third season's like, oh, I hate this. The first two sessions,
But we have to
I
see it
hate this,
through. We have to see it through, though.
and then I have to see it through. And I'm so glad. Sometimes I've learned that okay, during that break when you have between season, I'm like, oh great, I can quit.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
there's constant reruns, if it's been around for 10 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am like, I have to like tell myself, you can quit now, you can quit now.
Right. Right. It's so funny because I am very similar to that. I am not a quitter, damn it. Like I am just
Yes.
like I am gonna follow this through. It could be the worst thing ever, but that's such a huge, I think, part of personal development as well, is giving yourself the permission to say, this was aligned with me at the beginning. Let's just use the
Mhm.
show as an example. This was aligned with me when I first started watching the show. It is no longer aligned with me at season 3. I'm not going to see it through to season 10. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
So I have to like I'm like, "Okay." So now I'm
Yeah.
really cautious about watching Netflix. I don't really watch
Yeah.
Netflix.
You don't want to get sucked into season 10 on some of these shows that are out now. Miss Brittany is joining us in the audience today. Hi, Miss Brittany. I wanted to say hi. She said very relatable. Very relatable. For sure. So now I've got season 10 shows in my head. So when we have these ideas and put it out, like did you have any of that feedback at all, like I had of people going like, who are you to ask for these people to be on your
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. But then that's why that's well, the thing is, if that's why they are there and why you're here.
Mm, right.
Why you're here. Did you get that person, by the way?
I did.
See?
I did.
That's why
And
you're here.
the interesting thing about that, when you were talking specifically about how you had originally wanted Brene Brown and her team said no, I had this experience because I was doing a show about music, and one of my dreams is to have John Cicada on the show because I was such a fan of his in the 90s, and I love his personality. I love what he stands for. I love his music, of course. And I had reached out to his team. Now, typically, a lot of people you reach out to, you might not even hear back, let alone getting a no. Like they're just like, I'm not gonna waste waste my time. But I got the kindest message from John Cicada's team, who wrote back and they were like, I can't, he's in the middle of switching management right now. Like it's a really bad timing, but we just have to tell you, we actually looked at your stuff and we are so impressed by your professionalism, by your graphics, by your show, all of the things. And so even though he couldn't come on the show, it was such a breakthrough moment for me to have that feedback. And I thought it was so kind on their behalf to say that, because they didn't have to, that they actually looked at the stuff. So even though you didn't get Brene Brown, which was the initial thing, I'm sure that there was a learning lesson or feedback or something from that helped you continue to move forward as well.
Well, the feedback I got was, well, the feedback they said was she's more interested in her podcast,
Mm,
um, instead. However, I think there's a good reason why it didn't work out. It's because I was in the real estate space. I mean, not real
mm,
estate, business space, and she's actually in love and connection and
mm,
vulnerability, which is there isn't an alignment.
right.
So, and since then, I've actually connected with people who have direct phone numbers to her.
Mm,
So
that's interesting.
I do know a fair number of people who have her phone number and who have worked with her. I
Right.
just it doesn't work. It's just her love and relationship, love and connection and vulnerability doesn't work with the business realm.
Mm,
So I think it was for a good reason that we didn't connect.
right. Did you feel that way initially, or was there any initial thoughts that were like that that made you feel like any other way other than good about it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, at the time when I got the second, rejection notice, email, I
Mm,
thought, "Okay, well, it's definitely a no the second time, so
yeah.
let's figure out the next step." So,
Yeah.
but at the time, I was like, "Oh, man, I'm just spending, like, a month writing this stories about people who would inspire her," and,
Mm,
she never saw the letter.
yeah. Well, we know that it's our loss. It's what it is. No, I understand that though. And sometimes, we'll get so fired up about something, like something we really want to do in our business, and then on reflection we look, like you're able to look back and go, okay, there wasn't like an alignment there as far as
Mhm.
where she was and where I was at that time either. And so you can see why it didn't work out, but it doesn't take away that very real feeling of rejection that we have at first too. Speaking of rejection, I want to go back to when we were talking about the response from other people as you were putting out there what you wanted to achieve. How did you respond to the people in your circle who were like, why are you doing this, or what business do you have of doing this?
Well, people did say, "You're not gonna get her, or you don't do this on social media because what if you fail? It's gonna be embarrassing."
Mm,
And I just like, "Okay, well, I need to be in a space where I have my own anxiety. I don't need somebody to add on to it." So I just kindly said, just move them to the side,
right,
politely, because they were friends. I'm like, "Okay, I can't talk to them about this thing. I
right,
won't. I'll just talk to people who would support me."
right.
But luckily, it only took me 2 months to land last brown. So from
I
the
know.
time I was celebrity to, so I didn't have to deal with it for too long.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good, and I think that was that lesson right there too of being able to compartmentalize within relationships, I think is so important, because typically, like, even like with my husband, so I'm into a lot of very woo things. I like astrology, I like the moon, I like all of these things, right? My husband could give a shit. Like, he doesn't care. Okay. So, but I know if I go to him and I say, let's talk about where the moon is today, that he is going to glaze over. He's not going to listen to me. And then what's going to happen? I'm going to get upset and offended because he's not listening to me. But I don't have to speak to him about that,
Mhm.
right? Like, I have other people who are into the woo things, and my husband is not that person. So that's fine. So I think that lesson, right, is still really important with who you surround yourself with in business.
Right, for sure. And it goes both ways. Like my husband loves cars and he'll talk about cars and then eventually I say, brain overload, brain overload.
Yeah.
I can't absorb more car information.
Right, exactly. My husband was talking to me the other day about, he's in finance in the auto industry, by the way. And he's sending me screenshots of something, and I'm like, literally, I don't understand what you're saying. Just spell it out for me in crayon. Stop sending me screenshots because I don't understand. Please. So it's always fun. But I wanted to talk to you about getting into a little bit more on the marketing side of things.
Mhm.
What are some of the trends and whatnot that you're seeing in marketing right now? And let's start there.
Well, definitely, first, I would say hang around the top of the top because they do things differently. Success leaves clues.
Hmm.
So they do things differently than
Ooh.
the rest of the people. Because I started off in a coaching program where everybody was basically at the same level, very beginner, and we all do beginner stuff. And I can see the material they put out on social media isn't as good as people at the very top. So always
Mm,
start at the very top and see what they're doing. And the thing is, when it comes to social media, to succeed, there's always patterns. Look for patterns.
mm,
P- Pick the top 5 people who are in your industry, go through their feed, pick the patterns that are successful, and then you actually emulate it. So pick a
mm,
pattern, notice the pattern, and then take actions toward the pattern consistently every single day, and then you'll get there when it comes
mm,
to social media. And so it looks like right now, reels are the thing.
mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I love what you said about success leaves clues. I think there are definitely things to take. Do you think that there's a line between looking for those clues and trying to copy exactly what someone's doing?
Oh, no, no, don't copy. That's like,
Mm.
well, plagiarism, I
Well, we
think.
know, like, not from a plagiarism sense, but I mean, like, trying to do something exactly the way someone's doing it, and maybe it doesn't even like align with your lifestyle. Maybe your lifestyle is completely different.
Well, it's definitely aligned with someone who aligns with you.
Mm,
and then it's easier to emulate them. So for instance, like, Elena Cardone, she's a mom entrepreneur,
mm,
highly successful. So I actually go through her feed and see what
mm.
topics she talks about and which one gets the biggest bump. Which one? Okay, so most of her feed gets like maybe 40 to 50,000 views.
Yeah.
But then once in a while she gets like millions. I'm like, oh, what she's talking about millions.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna talk about that topic, but make it about me
right.
and not plagiarize. And then I'll just go through other people's feed. I'm like, okay, mom, boss babe, I'll go through their feed and like, oh, let's see, what topic do they talk about that actually gets the biggest bump? And then I
Mm.
do, and then I make reels about those.
Right, right. There was a guest that Shiraz had on Rewriting Reality recently that was talking about marketing, and there was a clip that we shared on our Instagram specifically about clickbait and things being like how people love the train wreck, like they're just looking for that one shocking thing, and that's what they'll click on. And I feel like as I was thinking about that more, it's really challenging for me to think about that because on one hand, I want to put something out there that I know people are going to watch and listen to and click on it because they were motivated or triggered to click on it. But at the same time, I feel like there's also a little fight with my own authenticity and integrity. Like I don't want to post something just because I know that it's going to get those likes. Do you feel like there's like a sort of balance that has to be found there between like what's
Mhm.
popular but also who you are as a person?
Absolutely. So one of the two things I'm seeing that just don't feel like doing is definitely the negative
Mm,
pop, like with what's happening with Israel and what happened
right,
to Iran. I stay away from it because, it's sad and there's nothing I can do about it. So I
right,
don't post about it. And the
right.
second thing that I don't agree with um, is that I see a lot of people, especially they actually call themselves marketers, is post famous quotes with post videos of famous people like Oprah or
Mm,
Brene Brown or Les Brown or a lot of the celebrities. They post it on their feed to get the likes, and I just feel like I need permission from these people to post their material,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I just don't do that. I just can't.
right. Right. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting line to walk because even with the shows there are we fall under because we have a show and we're doing a live stream and things like that. We fall under fair use. So technically, I could take anything. I could take anything from anybody and I could share it on the show. You and I could sit here and talk about it. And because we're commentating, that falls under fair use and we don't get in trouble for using the content. But I'm sitting here going, it's one thing to use something and it inspires your own thought or your own whatever that comes out of it. It inspires you creatively. It's another thing to use something specifically for that. And all you're saying is you like it or don't.
Mhm.
And that's your whole piece of content.
Right. Yeah. It's use your own integrity. What I
Yeah.
find that if I don't align with my own integrity, it zaps my energy.
Yeah.
And it causes health issues later on.
Right.
So might as well live in integrity, live in purity, live clean. And, the thing about living cleanly is you have more energy to do things.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know that one of the things you're amazing at, and part of why you're here today is that you are great at creating summits. You got Les Brown to come on your summit as well. And you have one coming up about marketing that we're going to be talking about coming up
Mhm.
here. But tell me about how creating a summit ties into, I know a lot of people do it as part of their marketing in their business, but tell me how it's worked for you and why you think it's a great way to add to your marketing of your marketing efforts.
Well, it's basically especially for new entrepreneurs. I haven't been
Mm,
an online entrepreneur that long, and
mm,
so I needed to borrow the visibility and the credibility of other people
mhm,
who's already built an audience of their own, who have been in it for decades, and I've only been in it less than 5 years. So I
right.
and the way I use it is use their visibility and credibility and to up level my visibility and credibility. And that's how I'm able to be where I am. And so like the speaker I have going, actually, you know, he's going to be featured on a podcast that has 150 million, like coming up. He was on TEDx. Another speaker I have is syndicated over in almost 190 countries. So if you go to series and say Voices of Courage, it should play on voice. He's actually my coach too. And then I have other ones, you know, all these people actually have way more experience than I do. And I bring them on stage. So because I have them on stage on my event, I'm actually seen alongside them. So it looks like I've been around for a long time. And much like it was in consulting, computer consulting, you know, I was preferred provider for somebody who's been in preferred provider for a company that's been around for decades. I just was seen alongside them, and it insulates you from a recession. I don't know where we are in the economy right now. It's just so wacky right now. I have
no
no
one
idea.
knows.
It's so wacky.
Really.
But being around the right people makes all the difference, from basically from sinking or actually like flying high. So when I was in the real estate, I was a new realtor in a new market in the Boston area. I'm a Canadian, so I didn't know anyone. And if anybody doesn't know the Boston area, people actually buy homes across the street from their parents. So they're really well connected. They don't really move around a lot. And I was selling 4 to 5 homes during the housing market crash, all because of association.
Right. Yeah. I think it's more important than people give credit to, but it's also something that I feel like scares people a little bit. If they feel like they don't know anybody, where do they go from there? Like if they feel like, and I know, we know logically, right? It's as simple as just asking. Like it's asking for the sale, it's asking for the referral, it's putting yourself and not being afraid of the no, because we know that we get those. And so I think we know logically it's that simple, but there is that fear out there sometimes of people going, you know, I don't know where to go from here. Or also, I know who I'm surrounded with and I don't necessarily like it. It doesn't align with where I want to go. Like, do you have any advice for people that maybe have that realization of going like, okay, this is where I know I'm headed, and I recognize that the people surrounding me are not going to help me elevate to that place? Like, what would you say to that person?
Well, I would say pick your target, who you want to hang around with. The thing is, the heavy hitters are in the industry. The big guns are the ones who are easiest to find. They are. You can just Google them and figure out where they are. You know, I know Les Brown is going to be in Atlanta, I think, next month. He has
There you go.
He has an event coming up.
Yeah.
So it's actually not as hard as you think it is. And the reason Forbes Riley, I mean, I reached out to her too, and she denied me directly. Actually like messaged her on Facebook, and she just, you know, we chatted a few times because she connected with me, and I asked her, and then she, you know, didn't listen to me. And I talked to a friend of hers. I'm like, hey.
Yeah. A friend of you just gotta find the best friend. Let's go hunt them down.
No, I'm like, hey, you know, if Forbes Riley gets on, make a deal. So it's not that, it just, you have to, you know, have a target.
Right.
And focus.
Right. I think it's important to remember too, right, that even the best of the best, that they're human beings too. There does come that point in celebrity where you might have to have a team or someone help to manage your stuff or whatever else, but ultimately they're people too. I will never forget when I had Dee Wallace on the show, who has been in so many movies. I can't like, it's the longest IMDb list of any American actress ever. And it was wildly hilarious because my kids loved her in a particular show. So they wanted to meet her after we were done with the interview. And we finished with the show, the credits rolled, we get behind, behind the screen, and she's like, that was fun. Now where's those babies? and she and it's just, they're human too. And ultimately, I think that even though we might picture them in our heads as like being the best of the best, like I don't think they're as out of reach as we think they are, right?
No, they're people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're going to take a super, super fast break, and we're going to come back and find out about Mieu's summit that she has coming up as well. And don't forget, we have new episodes of Spirit Sessions coming up on Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And here's the Spirit Sessions ladies now.
Hi, I'm Rhonda.
I'm Teresa.
And I'm Bex. We're from Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light.
Coming to you live on the Breakthrough Show Network.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. Make sure you catch new episodes of Spirit Sessions Sundays at 12 p.m. on the Breakthrough Show Network with Rhonda, Bex, and Teresa. We are back with Mieu, and she has an incredible summit coming up on November 3rd. And it is a marketing summit, staying ahead of the curve, trends every entrepreneur needs to know. I put the link, I'm going to put the link in the chat for you guys while Mieu is sharing about it, and you'll also see it on the screen. But tell us about the summit and what people can expect.
Well, when people register for the summit, they'll get a registration, a thank you page, and they get to choose a topic they want the speakers to talk about.
And see, that's wild. You gotta go into more about that because it's so cool. It's such a cool concept.
Well, because it's all about feeder. It's all about asking the attendees what they want. And then we'll create the topic according to what they want. And so and that's just an idea that actually this person who, Jay Lawrence, I'll just say his name, he makes, I don't know, he makes quite a lot of money, let's say, per month.
A lot. That's all you need to know.
A lot of money per month. And so that was his suggestion. And I, because I'm a techie by training, I actually did some work, and because I'm a techie by training doesn't mean I understand CRMs or the tech that's involved in that thing. But because I have more confidence, it's all about confidence. I'm able to find the right people to ask questions, how to create this landing page where the thank you page to ask the queries and stuff like that. So if anybody's uncomfortable with tech, we all do. We all have that fear. Even if you're trained in tech, we all have that fear. So just if that makes you feel comfortable. So we ask these people what they want. So we have people who are in the TV space, radio space, publishing, who actually sell products to the government. And also create apps and see which of these topics they're most interested in. We'll create topics according to that. And then during the event, we'll have an MC that will actually ask the audience what they want for the next event, what they really want. And so it's all feeder based. And I just watched a clip yesterday. It was amazing. And it was about Jeff Bezos. And, he started his business selling books online. And when he started, and then he thought, okay, I'm going to grow and I'm going to have books in different countries, different topics. It was all about books. Then he started asking questions, asking his audience. And the audience said, I want to buy other products on your platform. And that's how Amazon became Amazon, because he asked the question of what his clients wanted, his customers wanted.
It's such a simple thing, yet I feel like there's so there's so many people still going, well, this is what I do. I'm just going to put it out there, and never really asking the client or the audience what they want to see. And I feel like we're in a place where maybe we as people want to have a little bit more of that say and control. I don't know if you've seen it, speaking of Netflix, there's actually a movie on Netflix where you can decide the outcome now. I don't know if you've seen this. It is the coolest thing. I haven't gone all the way through it yet because I'm indecisive. If you give me, I don't know what she should do. But you literally, you have your remote, you're watching the movie, and
wow.
so for example, they'll get to a point. It was like a choose your own story thing that we used to have back a million years ago. But like you have your remote and it'll be like, okay, she runs into her ex. What should she do now? Should she give him another chance, or should she ignore him and blow him off? And you pick which one you want, and that's which way the movie goes. And it's the coolest thing to just to be asked, like, how would you like to see this movie turn out?
Wow.
I know, it's crazy, but that's what I feel like in essence, that's what your summit is doing. I've never seen anything like it before. I'm wildly intrigued and may try something like it myself, because I do think we're in a place where people want to have that control, that authority over what they're intaking, right?
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's all about what people want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Tell us specifics, when, how much, where, how long. Tell us specifics of the event.
So it's November 3rd, and it will be 6 hours long. Every speaker gets about an hour session, and we'll have an MC. And um, we'll ask, and it's on November 3rd from 9 to no, what is it? 9 to 5. No, wait, 9 to 3. I'm doing the mental math, 9 to 3.
Yeah, 3. I had to math for a minute myself there.
Yeah, and then I love the concept of streaming, because for some reason, I mean, last event, I think it was 3 days. It was really long, and it's very exhausting for me and my team. But the great thing about streaming is we had, I think, max 80 person at one time, yet the next morning we had over 600 views. So there's something about streaming that we'll do to have more exposure.
Yeah.
So I'll probably send everybody to YouTube on my YouTube channel. But you're going to get people who actually who help generate hundreds of millions a year for the clients.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Who is it most appropriate for, would you say?
I would say a gamut of many people. I'll be talking about more for the beginner, and another person be more for the beginner, because we have been in the business for less than 5 years. We have the other 4 people who've been in it for like decades. Like my personal coach has been around for 30 years. We have others who have he spent close to 20 years on social media and have like 4.7 million followers on Facebook. So it'll be a gamut for between beginners to anybody who is, way more experienced in that. I like the fact that I have people who are way more experienced, because then you can see, even if you're a beginner and you can't, pay for a $185,000 program yet.
Right.
You can see what is down the road. And that's the thing about visualizing. Okay, you might not be here, you might not be ready for it, but you can go towards it. And here's an example how visualization works. When my husband and I first got married, we bought our first home, and like anybody who bought their first home, they bought a home that they could afford in a bad neighborhood. Because we didn't know any better. It's like, the most square footage with the least amount of price.
You're right.
Usually ends up to be a bad neighborhood. However, we used to drive on the weekends to these neighborhoods, these big, big homes that we couldn't afford, that were like, 5 times more than we could afford, maybe sometimes 10. And now we live in those kind of homes, in those neighborhoods that we used to drive around.
Yeah.
It's all visualization.
It is. It's a very powerful thing. And I think that visualization even works so well as you're talking about surrounding yourself with people that are in authority and are maybe at that next level that you want to be at. Even just visualizing yourself, surrounding yourself with them, meeting them. And even sometimes that one person, that first person that you're able to connect with, the memories from that can really help you visualize and, to continue that process of what you're doing as well. What's one thing that you would like to leave our audience with today about marketing and or being an authority?
It's consistency. I just wrote a post today, and it was about persistence wins over natural talent. Yeah.
I love that. It's a good reminder that we are moldable, we're teachable. And that you're right, that consistency, that persistence pays off. Even as I've talked to people about doing, live stream shows and podcasts, like the average of how long that lasts people typically is like 3 episodes, I believe. They'll do 3. Yeah, they'll do 3 and then you don't hear from them anymore. There have been shows that I have appeared on that never came to be because they stopped doing the show before my episode ever came out. Like there's just it's wild to me. So I'm like telling people all the time, if you start a show and you stick with it, you're already ahead of the do 2 or 3 episodes and then never do anything, never finish, never continue. And we're not quitters, Miu. We watch till episode 10. That's what we do. I love it. Well, I'm so thankful that we were able to have this conversation today. And I hope people were able to take something away about the importance of marketing and being and surrounding yourself with the right people. I think that that's such a huge lesson to take away, and that you really are the creator of the direction that you're going in, and visualizing that. So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us today, Miu.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. I want to remind you guys that Miu's links are down in the show notes and also in the comments. So you can just click and go and sign up for the marketing summit and also connect with her. I also want to remind you, we will be back in a couple of Fridays for another new special edition. And then we're going to be closed down for the rest of 2023 for the holidays. And we'll be back though, fresh in the new year with lots of fun. I can't believe it's going to be, I don't know what technically like season 7, but really it's just, we've been doing this a long time. So I'm really excited to come back with you guys for next year. I want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.